Hey everybody, Big Crafter here. I was doing some research again on YouTube, and supposedly people do not know how to make V-shawls. You know, the one that, or T-shawls, there's lots of different names for them. But the ones that are just big triangles, there's many ways to make them, or to make them longer so that they sit right. And I just thought I'd go over the list of ways that without a pattern, you can pick how you want yours to be designed and have it to truly wrap around your shoulders versus anybody else's shoulders. And it just sits right. When something is yours, you feel it. And the way it sits on you, your body knows. And it's a very easy thing to do. So now we should go over the list of just things you can pick, or things that will make everything easier. First thing everyone should know, between knit or crochet, does not matter, is that you will need some type of setup and just counting it. And once it's set up, you're good. Increases, at least for crochet, should always be in the first and last 6 stitches. Because with knitting, you want a border, so you wouldn't put your increases on the very edge, but with crochet, you would. You also have to, in your setup rows, make room for an increased spine that goes down your middle. So you have to know where your middle stitches are. And as I said, crochet increases for that shape must be at the very edges. Because with the way it's designed, you have your little starter thing. And then those increases make it go straight out flat. And that's why they need to be there. And knitting is a little bit more flexible. That's why knitting increases can be 4 to 5 stitches before the edge, so the border is not changed. And I can show you an example of that later on. The spine should not have more than 1 stitch increase on either side of the spine. You have your spine, you have increases, 1 on either side. All right. And the one I'll be showing you, I increase on every knit side, but I do not increase on every purl side. So just something to remember. The space in between your increases, just do whatever you want with it. Do a fun pattern. Have it be plain. It's all up to you. That's why also with this explanation, pick any hook, yarn, or needle that works, that you like. It really doesn't matter. And just the different types of increases. Like with crochet, usually on the edges, it's 2 stitches in 1 stitch. It's typical. Or you can make, if you need one in the middle, you just chain. You make a hole. And that same make a hole is called yarn over in knitting. Now for the actual physical demonstration. Alright. Whether it's knit or crochet, you need a good setup. And just be able to count. Now often in this, they have you make a tab for knitting, which is a square, and then you add extra stitches onto it. You don't have to, but you can. In crochet, you don't have to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, this will be double crochet, which means the first 3, that's the chain up. So you should be left with 1, 2, yep. You only need about 5 stitches to start this. Now, this is basically your first row. And because it's crochet, put 2 in 1 for your edge. Any increases should not be considered part of the main pattern until after the first row, because basically these are the only ones that are going to be in play. Anything is just extra on the sides. Because now we have to still do math for where the spine is. And how do you want to do the spine? A lot of people use a granny square kind of corner, or you just pick a line, you increase it, and then I use a different color thread to go up the edge so it marks the stitches for me. See if that's the increase. And how many stitches do I want in between? I could set it up this row, but I'm going to wait until I get a few more stitches. Because I wanted like a 4-stitch separation line. See, this is all flexible. It's just design as you go. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to end up ripping this all out later anyhow, so... Now this one will get the 2 and 1. It's very important to make sure that on these edges that your increases do make it flared enough to stay flat or top across, because you truly do want a triangle. 1, 2, 3. And again, you put 2 and 1 because all the edges have at least a 1-stitch increase on either side. If you ever think it's not flaring enough, put 2. Just doing that does miracles. Now that second increase doesn't count with this row, that one. So we have 1, 3, 4, we got 7, 8. Basically, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3. It's 5. It's 1 off. All right, I'll make it a 3-stitch separation in the middle. Now, like I said, all those numbers can change if you wait a row or two and just increase a little bit extra, and it's all how you want it to be. I mean, does it really matter if there's 3 or 4 in the middle? Not really, from what I've noticed. But to help mark it, chain 1, and then just go back into it. This will be more the rounded bottom look. 1, 2, 3. Okay, this double increase or 2 and 1 is actually the side of the spine. You just have to remind yourself of that. Put a marker, do whatever you got to do, because these 3 stitches will be the middle spine. It works kind of like a corner. It's like the edge of a square, kind of. So you have to like almost treat them like 2 halves. That goes for knitting too. So again, because it's 3, you put 2 and 1 because that's your edge. Just to prove a point for people to see. So you can take a piece of yarn and just run it all the way through, or, because when you go through the next time, that's where you'd be increasing next. It's how you watch the flare out. The next one would be this one. Normally I don't go through the yarn, but it's the crappy stuff. I'll be using it for many other projects. And as I always said before, Always put your second stitch in the chain up because it'll keep that edge nice and straight. So we have 1 for 1, and there's your second one. That is your edge repeat. I mean, it's nicely flared, but you want it like really flared, especially in the beginning. So putting in a few extra increases wouldn't hurt, especially near the edges. Or it'll give it less of, sometimes shawls are known for having this little bit of a tab and then they go straight out of there, but all depends on what you're willing to live with. That's the normal one. Normal stitch. And that's the one that gets 2. Because it keeps the integrity of the 4 stitches in the middle. Or 3 stitches, sorry, in the middle. Those are plain. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 2 and 1. This is more of a invisible spine. Not everyone's good at what I call counting holes, or they're not necessarily familiar with the granny square corner. And again, in order to increase, we put another stitch into the loop below. There we go. This is how we start to get our spread. If you want a little bit more like that, like I said, put a couple extra increases. Do like double increases for a little while to get that. But if you want it super long and leggy, both sides put, at the beginning and end of every row, you put 2 increases, and it really spreads out. Now to show you granny square corner. That one doesn't need stitches so much to where it's easier to see, but so many people, it's a very curly if you do it wrong. Okay, so we have increase on the edge. I want to take that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, the edge stitch really doesn't count, but that's 1. We have 2, 3, and then we still have 3 more over here, so it's exactly in the middle. Chain 2. Go about your business. Just put the rest of the double crochets in there. That double crochet is your mark. It tells you where the middle is. Alright, because we're on the edge. Living on the edge. There we go. One, 2, 3. There. Okay, got the 2-in-1 filler stitches. We still put a double crochet into the hole. Chain 2. Second double crochet into the hole. And that's what that's supposed to look like. That's your granny square corner. And you just crochet all the way to the end and add another increase. And that is your start. Just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Change colors, do any pattern you want. As long as it doesn't ruin the structural integrity of your granny square spine and your increases. And I'll just show you some other samples that are finished. Okay. So this is seen from the right angle. This was our starting point, was right here. It was the same 8 crochet, chained up, filled it in, and I started right away with the pattern. And there was an actual pattern. That's where the holes come in. This one had that hidden spine down the middle. And this is the one I did have those threads going down. Here and here. That's where the lines were. Because you can see the double crochet on top of double crochet. And even though sometimes there's holes, but it was farther out, I made sure they didn't go too close to the middle. But it is there. Look, it's all in there. And it goes all the way down. And with that hidden point, it made more of a rounded bottom versus a sharper point. And the only pattern that this really has, if you can see it with the white dots at all, was every 4th stitch, I put a hole or skip. That's all it was, the whole way down. And that's how you get that sunbeam look to it. Let's see if I can show it. You can almost see the stripes. But yeah, that's all that one was. And then the one I'm almost done with. When it comes to lace near in your last 500 yards, that means you're almost done. Okay. Also show as to why you put your increases a few stitches out. This edge has a beginning and end of row yarn over increase. See it right in there? Every single, I go 5 stitches in because this is the border, and then I do a yarn over. Every single at the beginning and end of every row. This is there. Because the start is right here. I knit 8 stitches. Added my spine down the middle. And just went at it. Clearly it hasn't been blocked yet. But that's what that tab kind of looks like. And it's still spreading, spreading, spreading. I expect it to be quite pointy when I go to block it. It's not so rounded. It's actually quite steep in it. Unless it ends up as a dress. Who knows? But like I said, once you just get your basic setup started, where you have your increases, at least with this one, it's 5 stitches in. I did it wider than they normally have you do it because I knew I wanted 5 stitches on either side to be my border. Every single one has a yarn over. And in my middle, there's only 2 stitches separating my other yarn overs. And they're only made every other row. And as far as the last bit of advice, I forgot that one part. If you want something to be extra, like drawn out, because this one, if you want it to be a little bit longer in the top part of the triangle, do double increases, beginning and end of every row. Because in the beginning of this one, where'd it go? When it first starts, it just kept straight. But then for like a foot of it in the middle, it drapes more like this, which makes it curve around your neck more. So if you know where the curve in your neck is, that's what you do. So about here, 1 increase, beginning and end of every row. 2 increases, beginning and end of every row. And then I stopped and went back to 1 because I wanted it to hang a certain way in the front. That's it. That's everything you need to know about triangles, shawls, scarves, whatever. No matter what gauge, yarn, needle, does not matter. That's it. That's all the math. Have fun. Maybe you make crazier patterns than me just putting holes in stuff. Like, share, subscribe. I'm sure there's some way to support in the comments below or the description below. That's what it is. Have a good one, y'all.